The idea is to pull the curtain back on mental health, career, and all the struggles that everybody typically deals with but nobody likes to talk about. Men in general have a hard time conveying a lot of these conversations and talking about these things. And so we really wanted to create a platform where we can not only talk about these things, but we can bring on individuals who've achieved, you know, some form of success, and they can share the real journeys behind them, because oftentimes people just see the end result. They see the hit song, they see the big business deal, but they don't see the nights in the hotel room doubting yourself. They don't see the mental health struggles.
Yeah, people that you'd see and you go, oh wow, I just had no idea.
Yeah, exactly. You can always tell in some ways there's a sense of hesitancy. But then as soon as they start to open up and they start to recount their journey, they really start to share everything that's happened.
The show's very first guest last summer was legendary Canadian comedian Russell Peters.
I was in this big 12,000 square foot house by myself. You know, my son had been taken from me. You know, everything had been taken from me.
Here was a moment where one of the largest Canadian celebrities, but somebody who's had a profound effect on his industry, on culture and everything, was willing to share that information. And so having that conversation with Russell really opened the door to more of those conversations.
From a Toronto soccer superstar to the king of Bay Street, the podcast, now in its second season, has welcomed more than 24 guests, all willing to go there.
One of the biggest things in every episode, when the headset comes off and the mic gets turned off, it's always, 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 this was incredible. Thank you so much for doing this. There's so much more to do. And this was, and some people have said this was therapeutic. I'm not a therapist, I'm just listening.
The concept for Gents Talk sparked back in the early days of the pandemic.
A lot of men lost all the distractions. They couldn't go out, they couldn't watch sports, they couldn't go to the gym, and a lot of men had to face their demons. I had to face my demons. I always had this big dream of being a diplomat or something, and then, you know, like a lot of people who give up on their dreams, they found a job that makes them feel comfortable because a paycheck comes in, and they sort of put their real dreams on hold. And the podcast idea, the media space, all of this was never a thing for me. It just sort of organically happened through conversation. And you know, in 2020, I went through my own, you know, struggles of figuring out where I was and who I didn't want to be and become. And it really forced me to sort of recalibrate my identity as a man. And in that journey of trying to understand how to become a better man, how to become a better partner, a brother, a son, one day a father, a coworker, everything.
Then came a phone call from his now business partner, Stephen Bronco. He was starting a men's lifestyle publication called Gents Post and wanted Samir to take part. What started as articles and profiles quickly grew to include the podcast.
Imagine as a man, your ego cannot exist. You gotta shut that ego down.
Mourani recently learned from Spotify it's in the top 15% of most followed podcasts globally, he says, with 5.5 million views across social platforms. For him, it's a surreal journey, one that's inspiring others, sometimes through their darkest moments.
We recently had another fellow on, his name is Hamza Aziz, who for the first time publicly and to anyone else admit that he was thinking about committing suicide.
I would think about like suicide every night for about like every night after work. I'd come home and just because I couldn't talk to anyone or get any help.
And I was sitting there, and this is the first time anyone has ever said something like that. Not just to me, but in my presence. So for me to hear that for the first time, I was shocked. But he's the person that shared his deepest, darkest moments. And he thought that this was the right venue, the right space to do that. And that to me is more rewarding than the clicks, the likes, the views and everything, because that to me tells me that there are others out there who are going through these things and they also just need that outlet.
Again, you're just giving them the space.
Trying.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's just a guy with a microphone asking questions and hoping to get authentic answers. And I hope that, you know, it continues, and I hope that more and more people start to watch these, because if it means one less person takes their life, if it means one less person, you know, harms themselves, if one extra person goes and seeks the help that they need, then what else could we ask for, really and truly? And so I almost feel an obligation to continue to deliver these episodes on a weekly basis because of the people that are actively talking about this, but almost more so for the people who privately send us messages and say, thank you for having that conversation with so-and-so. I learned a lot, and this has actually motivated me on a day where I felt like crap. I had one person reach out and said, you know, today's my birthday. I got drunk last night. I feel like garbage this morning. I watched one of the episodes. I saw one of the stories you posted on Instagram, and it's motivated me to get out of bed. And so that has become sort of like my mission to continue to have these conversations and to share these stories as much as possible so that I can continue to try and even a little bit nudge people in the right direction.
Thank you.
Try.
Yeah, try, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
Thank you.
amazing.